Hey, this is Leo for Actualized.org, and I'm super pumped up about this video because this is a special guest post video plus written article for goalsettingguide.com, and the owner of that blog is Arena. Hey, Arena. Anyways, the topic that we're covering here for her viewers is, are you prolific? This is a question I've been thinking about lately. How prolific are you? And when I think about that word prolific, I always think about Pablo Picasso because he was one of the most prolific artists of all time. It's estimated somewhere, I've read in books, between 40,000 to 50,000 pieces of art he produced throughout his whole life. And he stayed productive as an artist up through his 80s and I think maybe into his 90s, basically until death. He was that productive. He was so productive that you would call him prolific. Prolific means that you produce exceptional quantity of output, creative output, work. What are you producing in your life? And I've been asking myself this question, am I prolific? And it's a yes or no question. It's a yes or no answer. And I feel like I've actually been fairly prolific throughout my life. I've worked on a lot of different projects. I tend to be a creative type of person, so I always love to produce stuff. And I get a big thrill out of just making something and then putting it out there, or even not putting it out there, just making it. I always feel like I need to be working on something or my life is going to waste and I'm just not fulfilled. I'm not happy. And I noticed that my happiness is really correlated with my level of productivity. So when I'm productive, my happiness shoots up. And when I'm not productive, which I often am not, then my happiness drops. And those two needles go hand in hand with each other for me. For you, maybe a little bit different. But I think that anyone can get into that and can tap into the creativity that they naturally have and the productivity that they have. I think that most people just never really take that on as a challenge, never take that on as a mission for themselves. And so most people are not prolific. In fact, I would say most people are not even productive, let alone prolific. Prolific, I really mean that you're producing a ton, just like a massive ton of output, whatever that is for you in your job. This could mean that, if you're a professional athlete or a golfer, that means, for example, that you're going to be entering a lot of tournaments. It doesn't matter if you're winning them or not, you're just entering them. You're entering tournaments all the time. You're doing that all the time. Like that's the air that you breathe. And if you're a writer, if you're a prolific writer, that means you're writing stuff all the time, every single day. You're sitting down to write something. Every day you're putting out work, you're putting out pages, you're putting out books. You've got many books that you put out, not one book. A prolific writer puts out dozens of books, maybe 50 books. Think about someone like Stephen King. Think about someone like Isaac Asimov, the classic science fiction writer. They literally have libraries of books that they've put out. They're really prolific people. And what tends to happen is that those people tend to be also extremely successful. Because when you're that prolific at something, it's hard to suck at it, right? It's hard to suck at it. The Buddhist had a saying that I heard once that if you read a book 1,000 times, you're bound to understand it, right? And there's something powerful about that. There's something powerful about just putting sheer force behind your action and just breaking barriers by just being so persistent with whatever it is that you're doing that you're going to break through and you're going to master it and you're going to become the best of the best. And that's how you become the best in the world, is by being extremely prolific. Whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a salesman, are you making a ton of sales? Are you always on the phone making sales calls or going door to door? If you're an entrepreneur, are you a prolific entrepreneur? That means you're starting businesses all the time. You love to start a new business. You love to start it, of course, manage it, and then maybe sell it off or move on to the next one or somehow fold it up and then get it to work itself and then move on to the next one and the next one. You see this in serial entrepreneurs. And those are the ones that tend to be really good, is that they have a long streak, a history of stuff and enterprises that they've started. And not all of them were necessarily successful. It's not about being prolific and putting out masterpieces all the time. Of those 50,000 artworks that Picasso did, many of them were sketches. Many of them, I'm sure, you've never heard of. Many of them were probably not masterpiece quality, but still he produced them. The fact that he produced them is what got him so good. And this applies to any area of your life. So I want you to really ask yourself this question: are you prolific? If the answer is no, how can you be? And why are you not? And why do you not care about that? Why do I care about being prolific, but you don't? Being prolific is going to give you two really, really big things in life. This is how you create a supercharged life. One is that it's going to make you successful. If you're worried about petty things right now, like money, paying the bills, credit cards you have to pay off, these types of things, all that can be overcome if you just give yourself in to being extremely productive in something. Because what's going to happen is that when you're that productive, you're going to become so good that people can't ignore you, which is actually the title of a book by Cal Newport, So Good That They Can't Ignore You, which makes a really good case for how to master yourself in some career or profession. I recommend you check that out, and I'm going to have some videos on it as well. But the point here being is that you want to become so good that you have enough career capital and leverage to demand a high paycheck, and then you're comfortable. Not only that, but you also, besides the money, you get to demand creative autonomy. And when you have that creative autonomy, then you get more leeway to actually do the things you want to do, and you become more self-expressive. And then, of course, because you're producing a lot, you're becoming so good and so masterful at the production process. Not only are you producing world-class results eventually, which is really rewarding for you, it's also rewarding for other people. It's also going to get you money, like we talked about. But ultimately, when you master that, you get into that flow state. You get into that state of flow where when you're working, like you're enjoying it. Like I can picture Picasso being in flow all the time because his life was basically about art and sex. And the sex part I'll leave to some other video, but the art is what I'm talking about here. And the art, I can just picture him there like waking up in the morning and just going straight to his canvas and painting on it or drawing on it and getting a lot of pleasure from that. And just doing it all the time. It's like, it wasn't something he had to force himself to do, to get out of bed to do it. I just picture him like breathing that. That's his thing. That's what he got his kicks out of. It's kind of like the way that maybe some of us will go and like we'll want to go watch some TV on the weekends and just like do a marathon session. It's like, oh, that's going to be so pleasant. Well, what if that was like your work? What if your work was like that? I think that's how it is for prolific people. It has to be. How else can you put out that much work, whether you're a movie director, a writer, an artist, an entrepreneur, whatever? How else can you be that prolific unless you really, really love it? And that's what I want for you. And that's why I always encourage you to think about your life purpose and to find out what your life purpose is, because you need to know what your purpose is in life, and you really need to have a lot of self-awareness before you can commit yourself to being that prolific. It takes a certain commitment to do that. So I want you to really think about this. Think about how you can move yourself into that. Because this is a higher level experience that you can have as a human being that most people out there I don't see having. Most people out there are just living an ordinary life, humdrum kind of life. They're comfortable, 9 to 5, but it's not like that supercharged excitement that you get. I mean, like the excitement I get, and I'm building it up now of like shooting these videos, like I love it. I love it. And you can feel that energy, and that energy like rubs off on you. It's electric, it's magnetic. I want that to be happening for you in your work. That's what's going to supercharge your work. And then, of course, it's going to fix a lot of other problems in your life right now that you're probably bemoaning. You're bemoaning the fact that you don't have enough money, you could be more successful, you could have more time, you wish you had more financial independence, and you wish you had more creative freedom. Well, all of that you can get, but you have to work for it a little bit. And it's not so much even about the work. It's just that you're going to make the work so pleasant. And it's going to be so inspiring to you and to other people that it's really a win-win. Everybody wins. You just got to get yourself on that track. Get yourself on that track. That's what I want for you. All right, this is Leo signing off. Thanks, Arena, for letting me do this guest post. Go ahead, check out goalsettingguide.com. I'm going to have a link to it. And also check out Actualized.org, where you can find more videos just like this one. We do advanced personal development videos specifically on life purpose and all the subtleties of getting the psychology right to be a high performer and to live to your full potential in life. All right? Thanks a lot. I am signing off.